navigating hybrid teams, and economic challenges. As we all know, leadership in the current era is more vital than ever, with organizations facing the dual challenges of adopting to hybrid work environment and steering through economic uncertainties. The pandemic accelerated the shift toward hybrid models, and with that came the need for leaders who can balance flexibility, communicate clearly, and inspire resilience. At the same time, economic downturns have tested leaders' ability to make tough decisions while prioritizing employee well-being. Today's speakers will guide us through these pivotal challenges, sharing their insights on how to not only navigate turbulence, but thrive in it. Therefore, it's my pleasure to introduce our first panelist, Ms. Shompa Bhomik, the head of HR at MCPI, formerly known as Mitsubishi Chemical, with an impressive 27 plus years of experience in HR. Ms. Bhomik has developed in-depth expertise in talent management and talent development, two critical areas for organizational success. She is a certified assessor from XLRI for competency assessment and an ICF certified leadership coach, bringing a wealth of knowledge in leadership development and learning and development strategies. Her professional journey is a testament to her versatility and strength in devising effective strategies for organizational growth. Since September 2019, she has been leading HR at MCPI. Prior to that, she served as General Manager of HR at Gainwell and held key HR leadership roles at companies like Tractor India Private Limited, Foster Wheeler India, Siemens, and Grassing Cement Limited. Ms. Bhomik's deep expertise in talent acquisition, performance management systems, and organizational development make her a key voice in today's conversation about navigating HR leadership in these turbulent times. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Shompa Bhomik to the stage. Further, we have with us Mr. Bhanu Sharma, a seasoned HR leader and a key executive committee member at Tega Industries, where he manages a diverse workforce across 21 countries and 6 continents. Mr. Sharma serves as the global head of HR and IT for Tega, a global leader in the mining, mineral processing, and material handling industries. Mr. Sharma holds master's degree in management from MDI Gurgaon. His diverse career spans over 2 decades, where he has built and scaled a startup, led M&A integrations, and driven cultural transformations within a global Indian corporation. His rich experience, ranging from conglomerates to startups, has shaped his holistic approach to HR, rooted in empathy and inclusiveness. Mr. Sharma's expertise lies in simplifying complex organizational challenges and building stakeholders' engagement for large-scale transformations. His unique combination of business acumen, technical knowledge, and HR insights makes him an invaluable asset in today's discussion. Kindly join me in welcoming Mr. Bhanu Sharma to the stage. Our next panelist is Mr. Samar Banerjee, the Chief Human Resource Officer with over 2.5 decades of rich experience across a wide range of industries, including automobiles, FMCG, media, and building materials. Mr. Banerjee has spent a significant part of his career in the cement industry, holding key roles in employee relations and human resources at companies like ACC, Imami Cements, and New Vista. Prior to his current role at Star Cement, Mr. Banerjee served as the group head of human resources at Berger Paints India Limited. His diverse industry experience and deep expertise in HR functions make him an invaluable contributor to today's discussion on leadership and turbulent times. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Samar Banerjee. Our next panelist is Ms. Prishti Mondal, the Vice President and Head of HR at Nomura Research Institute of Financial Technologies and an alumna of Delhi School of Economics. Prishti is a passionate and visionary HR leader with a proven track record of driving organizational transformation through innovation. Uh, Her expertise spans a wide range of areas, including cultural integrations, M&A management, leadership development, and fostering high-performance cultures. As a thought leader, Bristol is deeply engaged with both industry and academia, frequently sharing her insights at various forums. She is especially passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongingness, working tirelessly to make organizations more inclusive and leading large-scale transformation projects from the front. In addition to her professional achievements, Bristol actively contributes to broader causes. She serves as a national regional member and a vice president of WICCI, where she plays a key role in empowering women's enterprises both locally and globally. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Brishti Mondal to the stage. Our next panelist is Mr. Sudhanshu Roy, the Group Head of HR at Medica Hospitals. Mr. Roy is an accomplished healthcare professional with extensive experience in managing various aspects of healthcare operations. He has successfully overseen everything from the commissioning of healthcare facility to equipment and manpower planning, while also leading the marketing, finance, and HR functions. A specialist in change management and HR management, Mr. Roy has played a key role in driving organizational change and ensuring the successful operations of healthcare facilities. His educational backgrounds include studies at IIM Ahmedabad and XLRI Jamshedpur, which have provided him with a strong foundation for navigating the complexities of healthcare and human resource. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Kiranshi Roy to the stage. Our next panelist is Mr. Arnav Chakraborty, who is serving as the Vice President of HR at CESP Limited. With over 13 years of rich experience in human resource, Mr. Chakraborty currently spearheads new initiatives focusing on capacity and workforce planning as well as new business development. Before his role at CESC, he was the head of talent acquisition at Spencer's Retail Limited, where he drove strategic HR initiatives. He also held significant HR positions at ITC Limited, where he managed HR operations across multiple locations in India. Mr. Chakraborty began his career as a captain in the Indian Army, gaining valuable insights into leadership and organizational dynamics. He holds an MBA in Human Resource Management from XLRI Jamshedpur and a BCom from Ranchi University. In addition to his professional accomplishments, he is certified in NLP and emotional intelligence and actively contributes to community support initiatives. Mr. Chakraborty is also a well-networked HR strategist, having held leadership roles in various professional organizations. And therefore, please join me in welcoming Mr. Chakraborty to the panel. Last but not the least, it is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for today's HR Summit, Mr. Indranil Gogo, currently serving as the President and CEO of McFit Polymers Private Limited and a mentor at Stanford Seed. Mr. Gogo is a highly accomplished and commercially astute senior executive with over 25 years of experience across industries such as steel, business consulting, consumer durables, travel, and food and beverages. He has honed a diverse set of leadership skills that have propelled the growth of organizations. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Indranil Goel. Now, without any further ado, I would request our moderator to carry forward the discussion for today.
Good evening to everyone. The difficult time of the day and week to talk about HR on a Sunday evening with all of you people who wanted to go out and have your time out. And I'm told, as we came here and we were talking to others, I'm told you had different sessions on finance, marketing, and a lot of other sessions over the days, a couple of days. And you end up with HR, which probably you think is kind of coming end of the day and quite a heavy loaded session. So before I actually start my introduction, the thought which crossed my mind, and I'm sure my co-panelists here who are experts on HR will agree. So when I was in Stanford, we used to have a class which taught us that culture eats strategy for breakfast. I think this is a common subject which all of us know. So why I mentioned this is that why HR would have come at last to you. It is actually HR or organization culture which actually builds up an organization. It's very important function to go through. And so my name, all of you have heard my name. My co-panelists are experts. I was going through the profiles, and I felt I was telling them that probably no industry left unrepresented, no discipline left unrepresented by what they have been on their careers. It's been a fantastic opportunity for me to actually moderate this session. And I believe on this panel, amongst all of us put together, we would have plus 200 plus years of human experience being brought on this forum. So great opportunity for all of you to engage with us, learn from us. And you are what you call yourself as the Gen Z. So for us, it's important how we engage with Gen Z. This is a generation which challenges status quo. It has the courage to challenge status quo, much well informed than what we were in our generation. I think I believe there's a fundamental difference between your generation and probably our generation in one simple thing. So when we grew up, so we read newspaper, magazines, books in printed form, and we were reading it horizontally. So you kids now, or pardon me for saying kids, you're actually young adults now, are reading everything vertically. You're reading vertically and digitally. So when we come from this generation, it is also important for us to adapt. And probably my first step is yes, I have also adapted. I don't carry a paper now. So I have also gone vertical and digital. So that's how we need to align between the two of us. So it's very important to do that. Coming back quickly to the topic. So leadership in turbulent times. The word itself are heavily loaded ones. It makes sleep go us for most of us here. And today is the VUCA world, as you call them. So VUCA basically talks of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So it's in every aspect, in every field, whether it is a corporate world, whether it is a academic world, whether it is geopolitical or political situations. Everybody is facing this VUCA situation. So it's all the more important that leaders evolve, and we will make our attempt to bring it to you today in a proper way. We thought as a panelist when we were having a discussion that we should not throw jargons at you. You are young adults about to enter the corporate world. So for you, it will be like a maze happening. If you start throwing jargons, leadership, turbulent times, so it may look difficult for you. We want to simplify things. So as an opening statement, I would like to, cricket is religion for all of us. I think everybody here agrees. Everybody knows cricket. Everybody will give an opinion on cricket, whether it is in his life played a single ball or batted a single ball. There will be an opinion when a cricket match happens. I'm sure everybody agrees to that. So if you relate cricket to leadership in turbulent times, there cannot be any good examples in this. So if you look at a cricket match, look at the uncertainty. You're playing a game, suddenly rain comes, but after the Louis Lewis will come out from somewhere. You don't know what has happened. You have to immediately change yourself and be ready for it. So that's again leadership. The captain has to take it. The captain prepares himself for the game. He will study the opponents, study the players, look at their way of playing, prepare it, read the pitch conditions, prepare himself well. That is similarly that we as corporate leaders do. We try to understand the external environment, You try to understand how our competitors are reacting, what our external stakeholders will say, and then we prepare ourselves, which is also strategic planning. Then we selectors and the captain build a strong team. So you need to have 5 good bowlers, you need to have batsmen, you need to have a wicket keeper, everybody has to be trained. So as the HR leaders here and as the CEO, our role is also to place the right person to the right job. So that's as simple as field setting and equipment. But it is important that you choose the right people to come to that. And then when you talk of handling pressure, so there is so much pressure. The nation is watching. So one single decision gone wrong, you will fall from, you will be disreputed. If you lose a tournament, you are gone. Similarly for leaders like us, who is watching? Our stakeholders are watching. The external shareholders are watching. The environment is watching that how are you performing. Your colleagues are watching. The peer level is watching. So it's a similar situation which is also here. Then there is coaching. This is an area where I personally feel as leaders sometimes we fall back. So if you know when any player plays, coaching is important. Even Tendulkar used to coach himself. Take sample coaching. There is a book in which Tendulkar writes that I used to shadow practice in front of a mirror, that how my shots will. What happens to us, or what will happen to many of you when you go out? We become leaders, then we go to corporates and feel we have not be on an end all. We stop educating us. Many of the leaders or many of the youngsters or even middle level, when we interview, that they don't educate us. When we were in school, we were a discipline of, a homework, go back, study, revise, come back. We forget revision when we come back to the corporate world. So our revision is actually study, reading newspapers, getting yourselves more educated to see what is happening. The most important thing which I relate with cricket to corporate world is change of path. So in a cricket field, you will find Tendulkar would have been a captain, but he came down from captaincy. A youngster which is took over his captainship as a leading the team. It's a synergy they understand. What happens in the corporate world if a leader is asked to step down and somebody will take over and he's supposed to report to him, hell we break news. Egos will clash. So that's where we need to educate ourselves that look at what is happening at the sports. Sports is a great picture for corporate. We should look at that. And lastly, multitasking. So we have seen earlier in the cricket team, there will be a specialized batsman. So Gavaskar will only bat, the opening batsman, probably he never bowled, fielding would have been weak. But that things have changed. So today you have specialist batsmen, but we're expected to bowl. Fielding has to be top class, fitness has to be excellent. So you become more and more, specialized on many things. So you will all remember there is a proverb which says, "Jack of all trades and master of none." That has changed. When we say turbulent times, for leaders, it is actually Jack of all trades and master of some. So you need to be master of some and Jack of all trades to head and ride through turbulent times. So this is an analogy which I think is, as an opening analogy, I gave you to say that leadership in turbulent times, difficult subject, but very easy to understand and navigate if you relate it to cricket. So with this opening remark, I will start addressing questions to my co-panelists, and I'm sure you will have a great experience with them. I'll go back and take them. Thank you. As we open the panel discussion, I would first like to address Arnav. Arnav, you come from an army background where discipline is a must. And you have to be, everything has to be disciplined. And then you come to a world where, probably most undisciplined, corporate world. So when you come to this kind of scenario, so what do you think is the, traits of effective leadership when they're facing uncertainty? Can you share some specific instances where, leadership made a significant difference in how they are managing crises? Because it's again undisciplined or not so disciplined as in an army world, but yet leadership is challenging.
Yeah, so the difference that I generally see, so it's about 24, 25 years in the corporate world now. The initial is in a turbulent time, and specifically in terms of leadership. The first thing is when you listen to your instincts and when you don't. There are two things that you must be very clear as people entering the corporate when do you listen to your instincts and when you don't? One. The second, that you must be very clear of that are you aware of the ground situation? So there are many people who assume leadership without being real leaders. And we very easily can see it across newspaper and the media when we see the political world. So you are all people coming from a particular background, you can make out that they are leaders who are assumed and they are leaders who are natural. In the army, you are a situational leader. So, like you're talking about the VUCA, that VUCA does not exist for us. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us, for an army. So, VUCA is all nothing for us. So, every day and night there is something, and it's click, and you're on. I'll give you a small example so that it relates to how is it different from the army and how it happens in the corporate world. Somewhere in 95, 96, I was in the counterinsurgency area in Doda district of Jammu Kashmir. I was posted in Jammu Kashmir for about 5 years. So it was an instantaneous ambush where my radio operator got hit on his chest. And we had a fantastic opportunity to pursue two of the terrorists who were fleeing away. And there was a chopper which we had called for medical help to pick up this fellow and move on. So I had two options. So this is where the instinct works. Should you wait and allow these people to flee, or get this guy up and save his life? So as a youngster, I was 25 years old. I don't know how many of Harvard graduates get 25-year-old commanding 30 people below them. And at a situation where it is life and death, pretty much. And that is the time I took a decision, I don't know why, not to get awarded. Because if I had to, I would be clear for Sena Medal in a moment. But then I took a decision that this guy who's been with me thick and thin, I signaled the chopper to land, picked this fellow up, and I missed 2 hits. Again into the corporate world. COVID was one of the fantastic examples of compassion, empathy, and everything that could be thrown on. CSC is where you get the lights on today. None of you realize that while it was giving light to you during the COVID period, we had people dying every day going to the plants. Because we've got about 5,000 people going to the plants every day. Make it running every day. Get you electricity to cook your food, see light of the day. So actually people were doing more cooking experiments. And the consumption of electricity was at the highest. We had 2 critical things to do. One is to allow our people to take enough empowered decisions at the plants. And the people on the field who repair your lost connection on various connections that we have across the city. It took at least a month for me and my other senior people to convince people that empowerment should be at the plants and the empowerment should be at the people at the ground. And we should not be dictating what facility that they should be. And there's one small decision which we took, which we took the union along with it, is to make a shift which was 2 days long. So people used to go into work for 2 days, and then the next shift was to come for 2 days, so that lesser people get affected and lesser, and we enlarged that. Then we made it 3 days, so that lesser people get affected. But it took me some time. So here, the decision making, people have many interests in mind. There, it is you, and that ends there.
Great, great. And the point which you mentioned that as a 25-year-old taking the decision, that's that shows the strength of the character. Thank you very much, Anna. One spectrum of the RB to another spectrum, which is the the financial world and more of the So Christy, I'm coming to you. So you have experience on the world which you are driving, probably there's a lot of investment decisions which are happening, different management styles which you have to evaluate and things on that. So what do you think, the practical steps that teams or leaders should take to adapt to changes while maintaining the demand for high performance? Because a leader is always faced with the high performance. And most importantly, how can the leader, like I mentioned, culture being very important for an organization. How do you think the leader should work towards getting the culture of agility and trust?
So, first I want to start with something, why we look at leadership, right? Leaders are more like, doing the business, doing the numbers. Now, leaders are kind of, there are so many other things. The landscape has changed and it has evolved now. We are challenged with growth. We are challenged with engagement. We are challenged with driving culture. Yes, I'm sure all of you hear about, social governance and, environment. Then you have, engagement and diversity and so on. So I think the first point that is very important is, it's not going to be just one leader or two leaders. So you have to have many leaders. The job of a leader right now and what we practice in the organization. And being in the fintech space and being in the tech domain, we see very progressive situations where leaders keep on building leaders. And when I talk about building leaders, we're not building leaders based on grades or levels. We are very much accustomed and we practice something building leaders right from after the college. We have I'll give you some very simple examples and I tell you how the trust and all those things are evolving in a scenario like us. Now we have an internship program where we take people from for 6 months to 1 year, and we are picking up students next week. We're going to engineering colleges. We are picking up students in the last 1 year. While they are joining us in their internship, first couple of months we definitely go for understand the organization, the capital market domain, so on and so forth. But eventually, once they're off, after their induction, they're putting live projects. And what does that mean? They're trusting me. That's where creation of trust. What's the other very important thing? While they're making, they are getting live projects, they're already interacting with clients, across, cities, across geos. And what's happening, they are taking a lot of accountability, and with that, we are looking at some people who are actually showing their leadership qualities. We give them the platform. While we're giving them the platform, we're giving them that growth mindset. Here you are, you're working, you're working as interns. Then you join us. Not believe in 1.5 to 2 years, we have our employees go anywhere in the world, and with the high projects we acquire a lot of companies, let's say, Aussie or Planet IT across the globe. While we're acquiring, we interact with a very new domain, very new territory, very new set of, cultures. That sets a lot of, cultural integration for us. Also, what we do, what we do during, the internship while we take those drives and, absorb those people. One, obviously, there's the intelligence to be looked at. But what we are looking at is at a very high level, which is the social, quotient, social emotional quotient. Why we are doing this? We are very, very diverse. And that's the other reason why you don't go to colleges only from Calcutta or West Bengal. You're moving all across India, but, stationed outside, taken from Calcutta. Why we do that? Why it's a diversity? They're bringing in different cultures. They're intelligence, the social intelligence is going higher, they're building trust, they get gaining that insight to becoming more capable in terms of delivering, their confidence is going up. So as a leader, I think while we are making more leaders, a few things we have to take care of. One is self-care for self-care. And take up self-care is just not at office. We're talking so much about well-being and engagement. That's something we are trying to practice. You extend it beyond office hours, you extend at your home place. And that has definitely helped shape the culture. So I think, that's it's a lot of challenge, but self-care, a very big, growth mindset. And how do we make, growth mindset? like within youngsters. We probably more than 50% of our employees is between 25, 20 years. And they need to see success very fast. And what is the platform we are giving them? They don't want to wait for 10 years, 15 years to show that, I'm a successful employee. In 2, 3 years, they have to, write projects. In 2, 3 years, they're kind of, they're having patents, so on and so forth. So I think the success story for employees, that average age of success stories has gone down. So as leaders, we should be able to give some those kind of platforms so that they evolve faster, and that's where we build trust. They are saying us, that we're investing in them, we're giving them the confidence, they're getting them the playground to them. That's how we work with the leadership.
In fact, you're rightly saying, age of the senior leadership is becoming younger and younger.
Yes.
And one very important one of my mentors used to say that a leader is a leader the day he has another leader for him to take over that role as a leader.
A number of them.
And just one more example I would like to share with the audience and all of us. So this is a very senior HR person of a large organization. I am not naming, but he went out to interview to hire a CFO. There were 2 candidates, and I know both the candidates personally. Both of them were good, and one of them he thought was better. So he took them out for dinner, and then he comes back, and then he says, "No, I will not do the other one. I will do the other." So he said, "Why? What went wrong?" Because the candidate was they were all said. So he said, "No, I observed that when we were having dinner, the one gentleman was constantly thanking the waiters and others who were coming in to serve and do everything. The another was silent. So I don't want that culture in my company." So that's how culture was very, very, which is where we need to cut it across organizations. So coming to Sampa, you were a leadership coach, certified leadership coach, which is what I mentioned also. Coaching is quite important for leaders. So, empathy is a word which is very strongly associated with leadership. So how important do you think empathy is in leadership, and how can it be demonstrated? And what do you think would a leader needs to do to demonstrate empathy, or what practices should he adopt to be seen as empathy for the organization? Can you please share your thoughts on that, please?
Sure. Thank you. So empathy is something that is there as a required inherent quality of a leader. It is there for ages. But I think for past few years, considering the dynamic changes happening, the turbulence there, it is being much talked about. So empathy is not only a leadership trait to be looked at, it is a powerful tool to be successful, to transform the organization. And especially these days, we are talking about a lot, as we all know, like you has mentioned about COVID, that uncertainty we have all faced, starting that, and at present, the kind of geopolitical tensions affecting the business, the burnout and stresses, the business challenges, the way it was maybe few years back, and the way we see now, it has gone, every industry I think has gone through a major change. So that's why the stresses in the workplace, the burnouts, the pressures, those are becoming more. So that's why it is more so predominantly required by a leader to exhibit their empathy. The thing is that we always talk about this empathy as a word, but then in your cases it becomes a lip service sometimes, because it is not like other qualities. Empathy is not that very easily can be demonstrated to the extent the degree to the level it is required. So it is like a continuum. So we first, like at times confusing the situation to empathy, to moving from there to a compassion. Then to empathy means where I really feel, I am with you. So it's easily being said, but it's not so easy being, to practice on a day-to-day basis. But that is what the requirement of the leaders today to demonstrate and to feel, put himself in other shoes. So whether for, and that required for every level. It's not for juniors, middle, seniors, at every level that approach is needed. So if I take a context from, just from there I take a context. So for example, for starting from new hires who are new entrants to the organization. So they are transitioning from a different world to a different world that was there for years. But why we are talking about empathy more now? Because the challenges are more, the demands, expectations are also there. But not to, that empathy should be there in every stage so that not to, kind of feel, themselves, they feel that it's very intimidating or it's very, kind of too negative or too harsh, feel more inclusive. So empathy actually it's a very connected piece. So the more and more empathy actually helps in building trust. It's okay for the leaders who are empathetic to the vulnerability. It's not that leaders has to be perfect 100 on 100 in every stage. But that vulnerability, that we need to demonstrate that vulnerability, wherever we points in we demonstrate in the team, also gives the confidence from the team. Yes, there is a culture of openness, there is a trust, and it is very interconnected, as you said about the culture. So that empathetic approach by the leaders takes the tone, it builds the trust, culture of trust, and of course, if there is a culture of trust, then definitely people feel more engaged, more connected, and then the expectation to contribute without fear. That fear of, I'm getting watched, I'm getting, kind of always being monitored. Of course, those are required. No one is saying that is not required. But then with that state, with that tone, the softer aspect, that is very much needed. And that in our organization, if I take a clue from, like what Brishti said, I can connect, going for a new hires. We also go to the engineering colleges and, hire them. So it is not only for assigning them the task and project that is there. So there is in addition for day-to-day functional guidance, there is a mentor attached to them who is like a go-to person. So in addition to the functional requirements, for anything and everything, he can reach out to the person and feel that, the psychological safety, because they are into a different kind of work environment, different, and of course, continuous plant, the organization where you are, it's a process plant, chemical plant. There are a lot of demands, challenges are there. But how that, that 40% actually the first step of providing the psychological safety. Then, the empathy also here kind of gives them the confidence that even if they are empowered, I mean, from the first year, they the project, they periodically review, they are presenting, they give feedback, that is there. But at the same time, they be encouraged to open up, share their views. So actually that trust, the empathy leading to trust, and that trust actually giving the confidence to share their viewpoints, come up with their ideas, which actually, paves the path for, diverse viewpoints and innovations and leading to, ultimately it is impacting the corporate culture, ultimately it's impacting the post business. They are feeling more connected, more engaged. So that's the way I think.
Very true. I think if I can draw a simile to that, it's more like more of open parenting, which we try to adopt now, which our children and organizations need to adopt like that. Thank you very much. I'll come to one. 20 countries, 6 continents, various experiences going through. So one critical question which I want to understand from you and also for everybody is that, because of this turbulent times, leadership, and you have seen so many continents, different types of styles, different types of culture. So what do you think would be the most critical qualities that leaders should exhibit during uncertainty, particularly when in an MNC where you have multiple cultures, people working together, somebody who's not used to a culture, and yet you have to address that. And how do you think that leaders effectively balance decisiveness with the need of flexibility? Because leaders are always faced with the challenge of decision, flexibility. So how do you think this can be addressed?
So good evening, everyone. I'm sure the disco lights are distracting you on a Sunday evening. I would say that it is what a leader does in the certain times rather than how he handles an uncertain time. We've all heard that Doha, दुख में सिमरन सब करे, सुख में करे ना कोई, right? जो सुख में सिमरन करे, दुख का एक ना कोई. Same way for a leader, if in a certain time, if you are putting your systems in place, if you are doing your trainings right, if you are doing your practices right, if you are having your org structure right, which we talked about succession, and Anand talked about how in that difficult situation it was actually his training of saving a man's life, which it came as a reflex to him, and that's how like the army works. There's a lot of training, which happens. It gets into your instincts. So those are the things. What kind of systems are you putting in place? What kind of delegation of power you are putting in place? What kind of people you are putting in place? What kind of trainings you are doing for them? That's what determines how do you handle a uncertain time, and it will take away that glory from you, because the situation will not blow up to an extent that you can become a hero. Because if you have planned everything, it will happen very coolly. So if you are actually ready for that, not being a hero every time in a, there are people, who create crisis. Even this, panel discussion which we are having, somebody would have connected with Devras and his lot of years of network and experience. He was able to gather everybody at a short notice. But he's sitting there, he's not here on the panel. So if you're ready to not become a hero, you will be a better leader. Things will happen with time. Now, what you need to do is actually give Seram medal to a person who's actually not being heroic. So have your matrices in place which are not rewarding the turnover, but the process which is followed to achieve that turnover or to save that life. So that's where I think because if you look at such a huge geographical expanse, there is no way one can handle an uncertain situation if it occurs sitting here in Chile or Ghana or Mali. It's only the system which you have put in place which will come into your rescue at that certain time.
Rightly said, I think. And I think summarize from the process-driven approach is very important. Very true, they said, I think there is a concept of shadow leadership which is not in practice, which is what will also create a better world for all of us. So coming to summer, what I gathered from the introductions when we came here in the evening, like you're the kind of godfather of the HR follow, with the kind of experiences which you shared with all, and also, so from you, what I would like to ask and for you to share with the audience here is, that what strategies do you think the leaders should implement to build resilience? Because resilience of the team is very important. And can you share examples of how through the resignation, through the resilience, the turbulent times have been navigated?
Over to you. Thank you, Mr. Good evening, all of you. At 6 o'clock, his was the strongest question to me. I'll try to adapt and respond and see if that kind of makes sense. Fortunately or unfortunately, it has so happened that I worked across 10 companies and each representing a different segment or sector. So it has ranged from automobiles to CG to bulk chemicals and so on and so forth. So I start with a small anecdote which has happened with me personally, and I think that will also kind of resonate with you all as you step into your corporate life. I think about 65% of you are freshers, or maybe some of you are carrying some work experience and might have experience at your workplace. So I started my career again, I think similar times with Arnav. I was 23 years old. I started my career with ISA tractors. The first thing that is going to hit you is you will get a strong set of subordinates or colleagues rather. Subordinate is probably a little degrading these days, who will be much older than you. So 23, 24, 25. You will get a set of subordinates who will be 30, 35, 40, 45 years. Or some of them might be even on the verge of their retirement. So I was into the first job. when someone came to me asking for a gate pass. So I will not get into the details of it. So it was on gate pass for 2 hours, and I kind of denied it to him without actually realizing what mistake I'm doing. So you know the response from that person was, "साहब आपका जितना उम्र है उतना तो इतने घंटे का हमने गेट पास ले लिया है." So I was kind of taken aback. That's true. He must have taken get pass every month or 2 hours, and then he would have padded up and that told me all of it. So the first thing that hit me back was, do I have the credibility? So as leaders, as you step into your corporate life, or for that matter, any other leader who is accountable for results. So a very simplistic definition that I give to leaders is one who is accountable for results and who is answerable to his team is a leader. It is irrespective of what position is being given to you, whether you carry a designation of general manager or a vice president or a CHRO, whether you are accountable for something, at whatever position you are a leader. So fortunately, I worked across multiple companies, and we have gone through tough and difficult times also, of which the last being COVID. So during COVID, the two things which was happening simultaneously with the organization that I was actually working, we were up for sale. So there was a merger and acquisition looming in front of us, and then there was COVID. So at this point in time, the role of a leader, which was like tested, what is that you're supposed to do? You can assuage the fear that yes, we'll provide you medical support, we will provide you financial support. In case anything happens, we'll take care. So that will kind of take care of the COVID threat. But the fear that was more imminent and more larger, hitting everyone on their face was, will I have my job? Is my life, maybe I'll be alive for some time, but will I be with a job or without a job? So resilience, as I understand, is the leader's ability to face the challenge and overcome the challenge, and the ability again to come back and face that challenge. So first, whatever challenge comes, one has to be ready to face that. So we as an exco, we sat together and we decided that we will work on three things. One is a response. There has to be an immediate response mechanism for any kind of help that is being sought for by an employee. What typically happens in organization is we are bound by rules, policies, structures, governance, and so on and so forth. Like
Too much of protocol.
yeah, too much of protocol. So this is going to be of some help to you, I presume. So and mostly the HR people, they will tend to say, sir, ये तो rule में नहीं है, sir, ये तो applicable नहीं है, इसको तो मिलेगा नहीं. 5 साल नहीं हुआ है, किसी का 7 साल नहीं हुआ है. The first thing we agreed that you will have to respond, you will have to respect whatever the need or requirement that a person has asked for has to be respected without questioning the genuineness or the eligibility or the appropriateness of it. And third was to resolve. So these were the three things that we adopted as an organization to face the COVID challenge. But how do we face the challenge that we have to go out and communicate that you will now be part of a different company and some of you might even lose your job. So you were in transition. Yeah, we were transitioning from Imam's event to a different company. So that is where I think I learned a lot from whoever I was reporting to. So he said, please go to the plants, please go to all the sales units and give them an assurance that come what may, the leader is going to ensure that for the next about 18 months your jobs are secured. Next 18 months, because that is what we as a group have been able to negotiate with our next owner. So because that made sense because we thought that COVID is hitting us hard and then people lose job left, right, center for no fault of theirs. So the resilience, as I was saying, is ability to take the challenge, navigate the challenge and come back. But that does not happen easily. That comes with lot of conviction, lot of commitment to the cause. If I'm not convinced myself, if I'm not convicted, I don't think I'll be able to build resilience. So on the top of the structure is resilience, but the two pillars that actually supports is your conviction to it and your commitment to it. I think nothing can be a better example than what Arnav cited. Commitment to the nation and conviction that yes, if I save this person, I'll get an opportunity to probably hit back to the terrorists when I get my time. So yes, across organizations, multiple challenges, but what I have seen a common theme is leaders. As leaders, you have to be very convinced of what you are doing is for the betterment and good of your team and employees, and you yourself are committed to the cause. So I think that means
That's great two pillars which you said there.
so.
Conviction and commitment to resilience.
A small take on resilience and been part of ups and downs of multiple industries, some growing big to going down, some media industry from being the thick of things to suddenly realizing that print media is vanishing. So I have kind of agreed to cement myself with cement. Thank you so much.
One view which Samar said, which was communication, so I'm sure they come to you. And you are in an industry where, one moment you are seeing somebody smiling because of a event of a birth, and at the same moment there is death happening at the same place. So in this challenging scenario, to keep the clarity of communication and vision within your team to handle such difficult situations on the ground. So how do you think the communication of a clear vision and purpose can happen in these turbulent times, and particularly in this kind of scenario where your industry and you're there? Before I ask you to open up your answer, I'll just start with one small example as I'm asking you this question which comes to my mind. I read somewhere, Barack Obama, when he was the president, he visited NASA to see what was happening to the space team. And he goes to the restroom, and there is a janitor there. And he asks the janitor, "Hey man, what are you doing at NASA?" And that man replies, "Sir, I'm doing anything and everything possible to put the spacecraft and the man to the space." So that was clarity of vision. And then I tell my team occasionally that vision is what the chairman to watchman should know the same line. So over to you, please.
Thank you. So we heard about COVID. COVID was one of the worst turbulent times which we faced, on which we did not know. And healthcare was the last frontier over there. And as all of us know, healthcare is a situation where we deal with situations of life and death, as Mr. Vivaan mentioned. And the kind of manpower that we have, the kind of people that we have, it is very, very diverse in nature. So with this diverse manpower force that we have, setting the vision, mission of the organization, how exactly people will be doing is a mammoth task for the organization. However, it is very, very important that this has to be told to people. So what a very clear cut set of examples in terms of vision and mission. And it is a consistent reiteration which happens with all the team members over there, whether, as you rightly mentioned, whether it is a housekeeping assistant or a doctor. Because if I look at it, the output of a patient, output of our hospital, the throughput is dependent not only on one person, it is dependent on everybody's output. If there's a mistake, if there's an error in one person, the output would not be the same. So it's very important that we are all aligned, and alignment only happens through clear vision which gets shared with each and every level of our staff members. One. Secondly, it is about consistently doing the thing. We use various methodologies. We have systems where we talk to them in the classroom, we take them to the shop floor level, we take them to the operation theater, we take them to the emergency room, and we involve. Now, it is not, as somebody mentioned also, it is also about having various leaders in the system. So it is not the CEO's job, it is not the head of operations job, it is the job of everybody. So we have divided into various categories of people, whether it is nurse, so there are multiple nursing leaders are there, doctors are there, then we have admin staff are there. So they all talk the same thing. And the purpose of doing this thing is one, we focus on clinical excellence. First and foremost priority, what we treat to a staff member is clinical excellence, because a patient when he comes for relieving his pain. Second is the comfort. Second is a comfort where again it is empowered. Third, which we are able to do it is through empowerment of people. Like when we say any decision which you have to take, anything which you have to do, you should take the decision in favor of patient's condition. So many times we realize that the patient do not have money, but then if it's a limb saving surgery, if it's a life saving surgery, we go in and do that. So that mindset has to, but it has to flow from the top. It has to flow from the top. The team has to have the trust. The team has to have the comfort that yes, even when the decision is taken, it is supported by the management, even if it goes wrong. Right? So these are things which are there. Now in this, since I mentioned in the beginning, it is about a diverse manpower. Like if you look at it, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have technicians. So until unless they all come together, it will not going to be the right thing. So it has to be a very collaborative approach. Now the doctor has to talk the same language, the nurse has to do the same thing, and the other support staff. So when they all collaborate, when they all come together, then only the output is there. Like we heard about COVID-19. COVID-19 was a situation which none of us have experienced. And it was a very, very difficult situation, and nobody knew what to handle. But then at that point of time, because of the leadership agility, at that point of time, we changed, we heard, we trained the team again. We retrained and retrained. None of us were used to wearing, what do you call it?
The full kits.
The full kits, yeah. The sterilized kits. We were not used to it. We were never done it. But then we did that thing. And that was done. Feedback was taken consistently from the staff members. They were being talked and spoken on an hourly basis because they were all very worried. At that point of time, I think we almost lost about 150 to 200 nursing staff because they were very worried. They didn't want to work. So we had to convince them with the data and figures. So this is how the concept during this turbulent times is very important. The leader walks the talk. He is available on the ground, as Mr. Anumod said. You have to be there on the ground. Then you have to set priorities. Then consistent feedback has to be given. Like whenever a patient was going out, patient was coming in, whatever it was not working out, whatever the statistical data was there, okay, we have been able to save 20 patients, we have been able to do this thing. We were also looking at technology also. Like Mr. Anand, you mentioned about Dr. Deepanjan, right? Medica became the center which was running almost about 40 ECMO machines, which was being run by Dr. Deepanjan. ECMO was the last thing, like when you go bad, your lungs go bad. Then ECMO. So this was something which was new. So it was very, very agile environment, and we kept changing our methodology. That only became possible through the collaborative efforts of all the team members and involving the team. So coming back to the point is that, just to sum it up, point number one, in turbulent times, it's very important. We look at the leaders, and leaders are available on the ground. Second thing, it is also not one leader. We have to create multiple leaders over there. Third thing, we have to educate, contribute towards the leaders so that they are aware of what is happening on the ground and they take ownership of that. That can only happen through consistent communication, which is the key to anything. That's key.
I think all of us in this forum, all of us will agree that COVID-19 globally, the medical fraternity has been unsaved, and there cannot be two doubts about it. How the doctors, the nurses, and everybody in that fraternity went. I personally was hit by COVID. I was in hospital for 12 days, and I've seen how they have taken steps to do that. It's been a great learning and support from that community. So we have done our first round of questions. I would like to open up the floor for the audience if you have any questions. Yes, please. On the mic.
So when we talk about leadership during turbulent times, we have seen how this turbulent times now change the
it is increased polarization from people. And one of the viewpoints and also polarization of people is the inclusion of diversity in companies. And during this polarized world, if you look at online patterns, how the people are viewing diversity, we can see an increase in social homophobia and transphobia as well. So this can increase an inherent bias in managers as a student and also from the team. So how can we as managers take steps to ensure that this does not happen and we can erase this bias so that we can take efficient and also efficient decisions?
Okay, since you mentioned about diversity, may I ask my co-panelists from this side with some time wish to address this question, or you have anybody specific in mind to address?
It was last part of the question.
How can we as managers ensure that there is no bias?
So as a manager, first of all, or a leader, whatever you call, and as I said earlier also, you need to recognize what exactly is the issue. So diversity, it's not now. It has always been an issue, right? It was caste, color, then your nationality, all these have always existed. In fact, now the gender diversity, or let's say the third gender diversity, if you look at, I mean, like, if you look at it properly, it's actually a mask to shield the actual diversity issues which are still existing. The color issue, the caste issue, it's very difficult to talk about it in the office. So, and it's easy to talk about diversity or the third gender, and it's very less in number. Whereas the color, the caste, and the I mean, like, which state or which country do you hail from? And it's not only here. I can tell you, if you go to Chile, the Chileans, they treat the Peruvians, they have a better economy in that area, like India is to, let's say, Bangladesh or Pakistan or these kind of countries. So they're also, I mean, like, racist to the Venezuelans and the Argentinians and the Peruvians coming to their country and work, right? So the only way you can address it is by reservation, right? So you have to put reservations so that somewhat may the people who there are certain positions which are earmarked, so that even if the person wants, because on merit you will always be able to kind of because somebody who is underprivileged, he will not be able to compete with the one who has been privileged since ever. So first is reservation. You put a reservation in place. Second is you I mean, like, do right kind of training of all the people. Third is the semantics part, right? Or the visible part in the policies. There should be right kind of addresses. He, she, it, they, all those kind of addresses. And it doesn't limit there. I mean, like, if you have to have an inclusive place for people who are there with special abilities, right? You have to call it what it is, and it's actually very cruel that you actually start doing that, because when you look at the job designs and you sit in a room, you have to actually find out, okay, this is the job which can be done by a person who doesn't have a leg. This is the job which can be done by a person who doesn't have arm. This is the job which is done by a person who can't hear. So the process is actually very close. So you have to kind of go through, and then only it's possible. So all these three things have to be taken care, and you have to call spade a spade.
And take on this question of bias. Now, bias has two parts to it, and again, I'll give you an example of how the armed forces see it and how the corporate see it. It will be very clear to you. While we qualify for the armed forces, we clear through a system called the staff selection code, where the clearing percentile is this little lower than 2%, about 1.8%. And there are no reservations. There are no reservations. The vice president is off there. You won't have reservations for a person who can link and become an army officer. If you want an army officer like that, so there is no reservation. What you can do in the corporate scenario to remove bias is to bring in transformation. As a youngster, as a leader, the more transparent you make your selection system, your bias moves from the root. This bias is built up as you become a leader. However, as much as we try in years of experience, the CEO at his level as the most biased person. I'm making it very clear. It's not his fault. The system mentally, behaviorally has made him biased. Because he, like all of us, come from a particular generation where you have too many definitions of life, bias, misogyny, mental health. One day, I have two daughters, one is working, the other is still studying. So one of them told me I have the right to remain confused. She was doing well, she was studying at this, and she had this option of taking her MA in psychology and doing MA in personal management. She decided to do her MA in psychology. So that is the time I was worried. Should we not go into what I was doing? So she told me this, so I was taken aback. But now I realize that she had the maturity to take an option which she liked. But this is new for us. The word that I have the right to remain confused. Something which is not so. That is where we come from a generation different from you, where our biasness has been built up over the years. For years, we have been brought up in a culture like that. But what you can do as the newer generation is to make every little thing transparent. You will remove biasness. You don't need jargons to remove bias. If you think in a panel of 3 people, you are one, you ensure that it is transparent. Okay.
Members of the faculty, switch it on. I think you guys. You're audible. That's fine. I couldn't. It was a really interesting discussion, and I couldn't really agree more than what Sir said initially, where he said the culture eats strategy for breakfast. And we, as students of MBA, will be stepping into a corporate world. And when I look at this problem in a more granular and practical manner, we will be into teams, basically in finance or marketing, and we will also be a part of team, right? So I just wanted to know what are the elemental pillars of managing a team, both in terms of managing down as well as managing up, so that the culture really stays in essence over there. For sure.
The basic elements of building a team, moving out of the theoretical construct. So, what is that? I think most of my co-panelists will also agree with, is building trust. So, why teams fail is there is one-upmanship. Why teams fail is there is no transparency. And why teams fail is because people have hidden agendas. So, if you are transparent, if you have built that amount of trust, so whether it is upward or downward, I think that is immaterial. The second thing, when it comes to building a team or with your hierarchy below you, is building a credibility. Because every time you are being assessed, so they might not be doing your performance appraisal. That will be the responsibility of a supervisor, but they will also be assessing you. So they will be assessing you on your credibility. You carry an MBA degree from IIT. So what is that you are bringing on the board which is different from what you're doing? So whether you are able to build that credibility is going to be one of the determinant factors when you are building your team. So trust, transparency, and credibility is what I think are elemental in building a team, whether it's upward or downward.
I don't know. Just to add on to what you said, that trust has to be built. So I, from my senior level, we have a lot of management trainees and freshers coming in. We observe them for a year. And between 3 to 5 are observed by various functional heads, including from my side. And 3 to 5 are picked up to the CEO and MD's office to be built up as a team. Now, when we pick those students, apart from, or not students, basically, the freshers who are coming. So apart from whatever the performance they are doing, like you rightly mentioned, we also see that are we able to trust you in giving this role? So the demonstration needs to come from you as youngsters, beyond what you are doing, to demonstrate that you are trustworthy, you have clarity in your approach towards the commitment and the organizational belief, and you would be really trustworthy. So trust is a two-way journey. It's not a one-way journey. Even in our families, trust is a two-way journey. So father and a child, a mother and a child, the trust is placed two-way. So you as youngsters, when you come to the corporate world, you also have an important role to demonstrate that you are worthwhile to be taken to that leadership role. So that's what I would like to add on to that. Yes.
So, while we, building teams next to you, join the organization, you're part of the team, right? Rest assured, these teams don't last forever. So while we talk about, times which are unpredictable, today probably in 6 months you're in one team, and the next 1 year you're in another team, sitting in some other country. So I think that resilience is very important. How we adapt to, different teams, different kinds of people is very important. So that's the very essence of, how get cultivated in a particular team. So it's very important for, all of us, and the teams are not even, just a project team. Team could be, working with different functions and, different, geos and all. So it's very important. One of the biggest thing for a team to be very resilient, become extremely adaptive. The second part I want to talk to you all about is, why we, talk about, jobs. We are not, creating jobs. We are creating tasks and skills. The longevity of jobs have also gone down. It's just probably in a particular job for 10 years, 7 years. That's the future. And then another 5 years will be another job. So it's important for you to build up skills. It's important to focus on tasks. So it's easy for you to integrate into different teams and grow. Thank you.
Very good evening to all the speakers present. So I had a question that anybody of you can answer the question. I had a question that how do you align the minds of the new workforce entering and the older workforce that is already working, since both of them might have different ways of doing things. So how do you make sure that they both align to the same goal? This is to be asking anybody of you can answer.
I think it's you will answer it better.
Okay. So I'll give you my personal example on this. Before I moved into C-level, also I've been through a lot of things, and I moved into C-level at an early 40s age. And my first challenge was I had people who were 55 plus reporting to me, and there were also people who were 20s, 25s coming out of colleges. And I had to make a team where I had to put the youngster on the job and the senior guy on the job. And practical example, the youngsters very savvy on laptops, get about that job fast. The older guy does not even probably want to use a laptop. He will try to work something on paper, and then we give a culture clash. That I know certain things, and there is a lot. You will face this challenge a lot in organization. Hoarding of knowledge. I am compelled to use this word. I have seen peer levels. I have seen senior levels. So their risk and the fear of a youngster coming in and being so tech savvy, and with technology coming in, doing changes. अगर मेरे पास है मेरे लैपटॉप में है मैं पासवर्ड नहीं करूंगा मैं बताऊंगा नहीं इसमें challenges का. So what we do is we have to do counseling session even for the seniors. We have to teach them. We have to make them learn and more importantly de-learn. So I use a phrase called de-learn in my organization. that you first de-learn what you have learned, which is what Arnab said, the biases. So de-learn, because we are changing. The youngsters coming challenging our status quo. So we have to change, we have to adapt. And we ask the youngsters also to respect them, that you are with somebody, it's like your parents, because some of the seniors are almost like your family members who are seniors, and you go back home and you know that probably when somebody senior in our family buys a mobile phone, they're not so tech savvy as using, and they're asking you to help out how you want to be setting up the Facebook account or something and teaching them that. So that culture we bring. So that has helped us in adapting, teaching the youngsters, look at them as somebody whom you can train and take their experience on, and to the senior guys telling that, okay, you learn and take this experience, take their technology benefit, pass on your benefit to them, and let them be together as it. So that it's a difficult thing to do, but it has helped. This approach has helped. But there is knowledge body, which we have to crack that in the organization. I'm sure all my co-panelists here will also. Yeah, absolutely. Reverse mentoring is the right word.
Obviously we do a lot of training programs, sensitization program, reverse mentoring, all that. And then still, if there is one thing which I tell all the people who are in the organization when we are welcoming the youngsters, that imagine your kid, and I am a father of a teenage kid. Imagine how much respect or how much does he or she talk back to you. And this is the generation which is coming to the office, and you have to deal with them that way. I'll tell you a very small story. My father, he stayed at our native place. He comes here, and he was here, few months back, and he was, shouting at me for something, and I was just quiet, right? And I just walked out in and out of the room, and after some time, my kid comes and he's 17, he's turned 18 now. He tells me, why don't you tell Dadu it's not your fault? I said, you can tell your dad, I can't tell my dad. So this is the generation which is coming in. And I think we have to be much that, all of you are already high ADHD, and all of you are already, not used to certain style. But then, obviously, there will be, you also have to be conscious that you'll be dealt with, people who are not used to your styles, and they are not your dad or mom. So, while you will face, certain marginalization, if you demonstrate the same behavior you do at home, in your college or in your workplace. But then, yeah, we're telling everybody that your kid in some form is coming into the office space.
That's right.
I will narrate a small anecdote which is part of my experience with my previous organizations. So there we used to go to multiple campuses all across the country to hire about 600 plus executive trainees. And for the panelists, we had organized special sessions for them to sensitize them, because some of the panelists, they carry very big bloated egos, right? And the kind of questions that they will ask is something, if I ask my son, he will say, bro, take a walk. So these two kind of coach those panelists that how you need to be looking at diversity as a dimension from that as well. It's not only whether you have a gender diversity or a caste or other diversities, but you will also have a very diverse generation at the workplace. So the leaders have to be coached, trained, told at times that this is how you're supposed to deal with the Gen Z and millennials. You cannot be yourself as you were 20 years ago. So that is one part of it that has to be taken care by us. But for you, I think Yonil has also given you his perspective that you should also bring in that amount of respect. It's not your family, as I can probably take what my daughter says or what my son says, because one, they do not have someone else to do that. But when it comes to the workplace, you should also bring in that element of respect. Unless that respect is there, is the relationship between the guru and the Shishya. So unless that is there, probably your learning will not be complete. So unless that learning is complete, you contributing to the organization will be kind of challenged.
We have, I think, ability. I know will be doing a short exercise with them.
Yeah, we can do that. So do you have paper or you have everybody? Okay, just I will like flip it open.
Let's also see what you have.
Yeah, and you have a pen with you, right? Yeah, no, this is better with a pen and paper. Whoever doesn't have, quickly have a paper with you. It's a small exercise just for 2 minutes, just for you to understand the concept, because I think it's a hot topic these days, diversity, inclusion, and we all have our own thoughts on that. So yeah, everybody on it. You look like you've been marginalized already. Yeah, I think we need to provide them resources. You have paper and pen? Yeah, you need to speak up. The section which is marginalized need to speak up if you want your share. All right. So everybody have a pen and paper in hand. Eyes, nose, yes. All right. So what do you know the best? You write your full name. Write your full name on the paper. Little bigger, on half of the paper, write your full name, and we can try as well if you want. Write your full name on the paper. And then you can take this. You know your name, right? So write your full name on the paper in not in English, but in any other language. Any other language. Any other language, whichever your native language. If you don't know your native language, you can write it in English also. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, write in the best font you know. Done? Everybody done? You can borrow it from. Easy? Everybody done? All right. Anybody still work in progress? Okay. Now write your name with the other hand in the same script. In the same language, whatever language you have used, write your own name with the other hand at the same place. Then you can borrow the pen from somebody. Okay, done. How many engineers here? Does it look like a blueprint, the second one, or some diagram in your lab? How many the second name looks like some diagram? Okay, to how many does it look like a piece of art, modern art? Okay, to how many it looks like some Egyptian script? So why, yeah, wow. So why has it happened? Anybody, why has it happened? That yeah. So it's actually, see, both your hands, right? Both your hands born at the same time, born on the same day, to same mother, same hospital or home, right? Same father? Yes. Both they had gone to the same father? Yes. And gone to the same school? And bunked the class together? Or one hand was in the classroom, the other was no. And you had your first drink with a single hand, maybe. Yeah. Went on a date together, went to the college together, but one hand studied in the same school, same professor, same teachers, but one hand after what 22, 23, 24 years is not even able to write, and the other hand is perfect. Why is that? Is it practice? Is it practice? Why did you not give the other hand opportunity to practice? Is it what is the issue? Is it practice? Why is it? What is the reason? Anybody? Sorry? Not willing to? But how did you develop the comfort zone? Who told you to practice with one hand? Why not the other hand? Why not both hands? You saw everybody practicing with the. You were so intelligent when you were 1.5, right? You saw the other person and you start writing. You're a genius. Yes, ma'am. Habit. You develop habit at 1.5 years or 1 year or 2 years, whenever. You got parented that way. So societal pressure, parents. So why did your parents not tell you to write with the left hand? Yes. Okay. So somebody from biology background, somebody has done 10th, 11th, 12th in bio. हमसे किया किसी ने? Yeah. Do you find any reason? No, superior thing. See, it's a natural choice. By birth, one hand gets chosen over the other. And then we keep giving opportunity to that chosen hand. And then by practice, that hand becomes perfect. And the other hand becomes inferior. So this is that 10,000 years of practice, right, which has been chosen for one gender or one caste or one color or one community, where we have not given the opportunity to the other. And that's why, like, you listen to a lot of stand-ups and all that, कि एक लड़की को पढ़ाई भी करनी पड़ती है, खाना भी अच्छा बनाना पड़ता है, सुंदर भी दिखना पड़ता है, और एक लड़के को सिर्फ पैदा होना पड़ता है, right? Yes or no? So I think that's where the two things, how now this can be addressed. If you have to tomorrow, make sure that you are able to write with your left hand also, on the other hand, if somebody is a lefty, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? You have to, yeah, it's very important. Your name is Jaitik. It is not practice, because see, if I right now throw my mobile at you, you will catch it with the right hand, not with the left. So it is important to give that hand opportunity. If you don't get the opportunity, you will not be able to practice. And when will you give opportunity? You will have to consciously not choose the right hand from where you are convenient to do that job faster and easier. Right? So, which is why you need to make sure that XYZ kind of jobs are first reserved for the left hand. Then once that hand starts practicing that part, then will come the next level and the level next. And the right hand will have to consciously let go of many opportunities if you actually want diversity and inclusion to happen. Otherwise, it will not happen. Never. Right? So the question is of opportunity to the the other caste, religion, color, gender. And also, lot of responsibility is on the gender or the caste which has been privileged. They have to, if they genuinely think about inclusion or diversity, they have to let go of their opportunity to make sure the inclusion happens. Because I saw the gentleman was not very, and a lot of you were not very convinced when I said reservation, which is why I wanted you to understand the importance. Thank you.
It's been a long session which we have all taken here. I think it's probably time for us to close and Ibrahim will be coming on. Yeah, yes, please.
Thank you.
Before he takes up, I think I take the opportunity on behalf of all the panelists to thank you all for spending this evening with us and good interaction with all of you. Thanks a lot. Wish you all a great future and a successful future going forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the panelists for your insightful contribution to the HR Conclave. The discussions on leadership went far beyond the traditional focus on numbers and financial growth, touching on vital topics like ESG, diversity, and inclusiveness. Your emphasis on the need for more leaders to drive trust, empathy, and platforms for employee growth was truly enlightenment. The conversation around empathy being a transformative tool at all levels of an organization, along with the importance of leaders showing vulnerability to build trust, resonated deeply. The insights into power and people positioning, especially during turbulent times, offered practical guidance for navigating challenges as seen in the leadership lessons during COVID-19 crisis. The three prongs of response, respect, and resolve was particularly thought-provoking, and your emphasis on resilience, commitment, and conviction, along with the importance of retraining teams to adapt to changing leader landscape was invaluable. The Q&A session was equally enriching, offering a deeper understanding of how we can better equip ourselves as leaders. Thank you once again for showing us how wisdom and fostering leadership skills are important in this changing landscape. And last but not the least, we would like to thank our assisting partners of the HR Conclave, the team at Learning Network. A big shout out to them for connecting us to such esteemed leaders. Thank you once again. And now, as a token of respect, I would like to invite our head of the Kolkata campus, Professor K. Rangarajan, and Professor Pooja Lakhanpal to kindly felicitate the guests. Nice having all of you. We would also like to invite Mr. Devraj and Ms. Vinita to the stage.
At +1.
Come.
And also Mr. Shahid, sir. Thank you.
तो इनका टाइमिंग के लिए मैंने निकाल लिया navigate